What you making, DIYers? It's Walker with DIWHY.LIFE, and in this episode, we're going to be installing the Shimano Nexus 3-speed hub on my Retrospec Harper. Before we get started, I want to give thanks to some of my viewers who wrote some pretty cool comments on my Retrospec Harper unboxing video. Brian A's said, "I bought one after watching your video. Great review, can't wait for mine to arrive." Young Fungus said, "This was a really informative review. Excited to see any mods you do, and the clip at 12:25 was completely necessary." I think so too. Great content, boss, says Jay. The Bronze Emperor says, "Thanks for this. I bought one recently like you. I thought 50-50. I like it a lot." Diana Lazaro says, "Yeah, I totally bought one after this video. Thanks for the review." Crassy Can Do It says, "I want one now. I got some heart emojis from Funny Video. I'm buying one since my Walmart bike is ass. Thanks, Afoons199. But my favorite comment is the guy who asks, "Is it possible to skid on this bike?" That is a great question. You know what? Let's figure that out. Real quick, write a cool comment in this video and I'll feature you in my next Retrospec Harper gravel bike upgrade video. First thing I want to say is I'm not much of a bike mechanic. I mean, aside from some flat tires, I really haven't worked on bikes much, but I've got YouTube and I've got my faith in DIY, so we'll give it a shot and see how it goes. This is the Shimano Nexus 3-speed rear bicycle hub, model SG-3C41 with coaster brake. I got it off Amazon, link in the description below. Paid about 77 bucks for it after taxes. And I would actually point out that coaster brakes aren't super great for off-roading. Last thing you want to be bombing down a big hill and have your coaster brake overheat and not work on you. So if you are an avid off-roader and pretty extreme, I would go with the model that has the disc brake attached and not the coaster brake. But I'm a pretty casual off-road rider. There's some trails by my house that me and my son ride and they're pretty easy, so I went with the coaster brake just for ease of install. If you look at the comments on the listing, you'll see that some people complain that it doesn't come with the cable and shifter assembly, but for some reason mine did. And I actually mistakenly purchased a separate shifter and cable, and then I had to return that. So I got one with mine, so hopefully you get one with yours and it all works out. Now, I've never actually built a wheel before, but I did find a great YouTube video that does it step by step, and the link is in the description below if you want to watch that to follow along. I'm going to be speeding through this process really quickly because I don't need to explain that. His video does a great job of that. But I was told to get a spoke tool to make my life a whole lot easier, so you're going to want to pick one of those up too. Links in the description. First thing I'm going to want to do is basically disassemble my old wheel. I'm going to take the tire off, the rim, and all the spokes, and the hub should fall right out. And then we're going to rebuild with this hub. Put all the spokes back on. That's called lacing a wheel, from what I'm told. And then we'll install it on the bike and give it a spin. All right, let's get started. All right. Don't lose any of those. And I think as a general rule, if this is your first time doing something like this, you probably just want to plan for it to take 2 or 3 times longer than what you thought it was going to take. Okay, so let's count these real quick. 32. 32. All right, and just out of curiosity, I'm going to count the holes on this hub, and hopefully there's 32. Oh wow, so there's 36. There's 36 spokes on this, and my wheel only has 32 spokes. Did a quick Google search and found a workaround and a spoke pattern that can allow you to put a 36-hole hub on a 32-hole rim. So we just have to follow this pattern, and hopefully it works out. So we'll see. Another thing you're going to want to check before you go ahead and purchase the Shimano hub is to make sure you have enough space between your rear dropouts to accommodate the hub. And Shimano recommends, I think, about 130 millimeters. And I'm measuring a little over 120. So let's go ahead and just pop it in here real quick and make sure it's gonna fit. And you can see it's a little too small. So I'm gonna have to, and most frames will bend. Yep, see, it didn't take too much effort to get it in there. Check that out before you buy it. So I'm about to get started on attempting to put my wheel back together with the 36 hole hub to a 32-hole wheel. According to this tutorial I found on instructables.com by Chain9, he says it's possible, and he's got pretty good detailed instructions here on how to lace the spokes step by step. So I'm gonna follow that, and hopefully it works out. One thing I do have going for me is I do have these deep V rims, which are a little more accommodating if your spokes are a little too long, if they want to pop out of the rim a little bit. There's a lot of space in these hubs for the tops of the spokes. So that's something I've got going for me. And all right, well, let's just, I also found this piece of cardboard that the wheel is going to rest on as I'm building it, so that I can flip it over and work on both sides. So something like this is probably recommended. And that's the first set of spokes. I gotta say, that wasn't too difficult. But I feel like it's gonna get more confusing when the spokes have to start going up, over, and under, and this way and that way. Oh, one thing they actually recommend doing is color coding your spokes with tape. So this was, and thankfully, I got hooked up with a bunch of different colors of gaff tape from gafferpower.com. Check them out. They hooked me up with a bunch of these, and so yeah, always stoked to put something to good use. So in the instructions, he calls these the red spokes, so we'll use red. He also has orange, so I'll use this yellow for the orange. He's got blue, and he's got green. So just to keep everything logical. Okay, I got all of my blue spokes installed and it's looking pretty good. Feeling pretty good about it. It's actually kind of fun to do. It's very repetitive and it's very precise, and it's nice that it's working out correctly. So I got them all marked with the blue tape so I know which spokes are which. And now we get to move on to the inside out spokes. We're actually half done. It doesn't look like it's half done, but it's halfway done. And so now we're going to do the inside out spokes. He calls these orange. We're going to mark them as yellow. All right, I actually made a mistake and I had to go back and fix a bunch. And the only way I was able to realize I had made a mistake was because of my color coding didn't match up with the illustration. So I do highly recommend color coding your spokes, because it just confirms you're doing things in the right order as you move along. It's okay, Cosmo, it's okay. So I get to flip over and do my final color, green, which I don't think I need to mark the greens because they're the last color, and they obviously go in the holes that remain. So let's just do that real quick. Let's flip this over. I finally got my wheel finished. Yes, I'm very happy with it. I had to go back and kind of shift some spokes around, and thankfully I color coded everything so I was able to identify mistakes and get my bearings. But I'm happy to report that it is done, and I think I'm pretty excited about it. Thank you for this person, Chainline, for posting that Instructable. Without it, I would have been dead in the water. So thank you so much for that. It's looking like this is going to work. So let's get these spokes tightened up, make sure the wheel is true, and we can get it back on the bike. I finally got my wheel rebuilt. I put it on my bike and I gave it a spin, and it was a wonky mess. So I knew that I actually didn't know anything. I thought that maybe I had broken my wheel. It was so wobbly and so off. I didn't think it was going to be fixable. But I called a friend who luckily has a truing stand that he was nice enough to let me borrow. And I put the wheel on the stand, followed a couple of YouTube videos on how to true a wheel. And who knew? I actually have a round wheel again. I'm pretty impressed. Now, this stand isn't anything super special. In fact, it's probably the cheapest one you can find out there. But basically how it works is the first thing you want to do is you want to make sure the wheel is round. And I had some major high and low points in my wheel. It was like all ooh. And so you want to fix those first with this little guard right here. You just put it all the way up to the wheel and you give it a spin, and if it touches, you just tighten a spoke here and tighten a spoke here and tighten a spoke here. And if there's a particularly large gap, usually on the other side of the wheel, you just loosen it up a little bit over here and over here. And eventually, over time, you can find all your high and low spots and the wheel is round once again. Then, after you get the wheel round, then you want to do the side to side, the truing. And these little pins here are on either side of the rim, and you just ratchet down these pins until they almost touch the rim, and give it a spin, and then they'll scrape the rim, or they'll touch the rim at certain points. And at that point, what you do is you tighten where it touches, you tighten the spokes that correspond to that side of the hub, and you loosen the spokes that correspond to the other side of the hub for that area. And over time, it will straighten itself out. My wheel was so messed up at first that I just completely loosened all of my spokes and basically started over from scratch. You probably can do this without the truing stand, but I highly recommend the chewing stand. It was a lifesaver. And I think it made the whole process a lot faster. It's important to mention that the instructions that come with the Shimano 3-speed hub are in several languages, but the only instructions that are included in here are how to attach the completed wheel to your bike frame, which is useless. Like, who doesn't know how to attach a wheel to a bike frame? So it has no information about how to lace the hub onto a wheel. It has no information about how to install the gear or the grease cap or the spring-loaded ring here. So I went on YouTube and I tried to find a video showing how to do that. I found one, but I think it's a different model of hub, because in their video they show putting the gear on first, then putting the spring-loaded ring on, and then as a last step putting this grease cap on. But I found that there's nothing holding the grease cap on, so as soon as you do anything, the grease cap would just fly right off. So I looked and looked and looked and couldn't find any explanation on what to do, and so I just started playing with the different pieces, and I figured out that if you put the grease cap on first, it fits in there quite nicely, and then you put the gear on with the indentation going down, not up like that, and then you install the clip onto the hub here to keep the whole thing together. Give a little tap all the way around just to make sure it's fully engaged. Yeah. We need our chain to go like that. There we go. Give it a hand tighten. Put our greasy chain on our hub gear, and then lay it on our sprocket. Give it a little turn. All right, everything's looking pretty good. That's looking straight. Our chain is a little loose, so we want to kind of yank back on this a little bit while we tighten. Looking pretty good. Now we need to attach, there's a little bracket here that the coaster brake will attach to, so we'll get that attached, and then we can attach the cable and grip shifter. You'll need to remove the handlebar grip first. That was kind of a pain, so beware. And then we can go ahead and install our shift grip, and it takes a little hex tool here to tighten it down. We also may need to cut our handlebar grip down a little bit so that it'll fit on here nicely with the grip shifter in place. The cable kind of comes down. You want to give yourself a little bit of slack. The cable should come down along like that. And then you want to actually put this through the chain right there. and I'll get a little piece of black tape to secure it temporarily, and then this component goes right on the, oh, first, almost forgot, there's this piece that goes inside like that. And then this can be tightened on here like so. So with it installed, we can actually see if it will work. We'll try shifting to another gear. Shifting upward. Seems to be functioning. Coaster brake works. You'll likely have to do some adjustments to the Nexus system before it's shifting correctly. And to do that, you're going to want to make sure the hub is in gear number 2. And the unit here has a little window on the back, so you can do easy adjustments. And there's a little yellow indicator that moves from right to left. And what you want to do is you want to tighten or loosen this threaded adjustment point, tighten it or loosen it, and you'll get it to move left or right. You want it to be dead center in the middle. I've already adjusted this one, so it's already in the middle, but you just take a pair of pliers and tighten or loosen this, and you can get that thing right in the middle. So let's go ahead and get this thing off the stand and take it for a spin around the parking lot. So I've been riding it around a little bit, and I get a little bit of noise, a little bit of a clicking sound in the high gear, third gear, but second gear and first gear are quiet. And I'm really loving these low gears. Having these low gears on this bike changes the game big time. I'm gonna be able to climb hills I wasn't able to climb before, go through grass, go through sand and dirt, pretty nice. And what it seems like is the old fixed gear ratio was probably somewhere in between second and third. I don't think it was quite as high as third gear is on it now. I think it was somewhere in between second and third, which is great, which means I have a little bit more room on the top if I want to go even higher. I mean, if I want to go even lower, I can get a chain ring with 1 or 2 fewer teeth and lower the gear ratio even more, so I can really do some hill climbing and probably be right about where I was with the fixed gear ratio. So I may just do that to get even more climbing power. But just as is, I'm really liking it. It's fun to ride. It shifts smooth. I'm excited about this. This means that I can do my other upgrades that I was thinking about doing. I can get new tires, I can get maybe, I don't know, some pedals, some handlebars. Who knows? That'll be my next video though, my second round of updates. My gravel bike upgrades for the Retrospec Harper. Stay tuned for that one. In the meantime, I'm just gonna keep riding this bike around the parking lot because I'm so excited about it. It works. Yeah. Yeah, this is awesome. Whew, all right. Just got back from taking it on its maiden spin, and I gotta tell you, I'm really excited about this. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.